You're watching the TCMMA podcast.
Dana White claims that the Duplessis-Strickland fight is very tough to pull off in Africa, mainly due to high winds. Uh, I think he even said cockroaches, maybe something like that. But here's what he told reporters exactly last night. He said, "You know how bad I want this? I've been trying to get this thing done. The arena situation is tough. It's tough to pull off. So that's been the challenge with Africa as a whole. We're trying to figure it out. The place that we would have to do it at is outdoors. And you know how I feel about that. So I've been trying to figure out the weather. And one of the big things that I've been hearing out there is that wind is a big problem." Yeah. So trying to pull that off with wind, rain, bugs, too much humidity potentially, a lot of things that can interfere with the fight. How do you even, do you know the type of stress level? I mean, it's one thing to go into the Sphere last month and do that. It's like at least it's indoors and you don't have to worry about weather. When you start factoring in weather, you got a problem, right? And I do the podcast outside, so weather is always an issue. Sometimes it's too hot, sometimes it's 0 degrees outside, sometimes it's raining, sometimes it's snowing, sometimes the sun is bright. There's just every day there's like a different factor you got to put up with. And I can imagine if you're trying to put on a full MMA event with all the money that goes into it and you get there and on fight night it's wind and rain and it's going crazy and you can't have the fight. Like, or you do and it's just crazy. So it's hard to believe that they're going to even try to pull that off. If they do, we'll see what happens. But it's going to be very difficult. Also, Dana White would absolutely love to see former UFC champion return. He says, "I love Amanda Nunes. I have a great relationship with her, and I would absolutely love to see her come back." Well, who wouldn't, right? People are tuning in, and if Amanda Nunes returns, now it's returning after the retirement, right? So who started all that? I know it's probably way before. Remember, was it Jay-Z with the Black Album? Was that the right one? When Jay-Z said this is the final album or whatever, something along those lines, and everybody flooded. Boom, got to get it. This is the last one until the next album came out, right? So, I mean, this is what happens with fighters too. I mean, they say they're gone, and then when they come back, it's even bigger, right? Because now it's like, oh my God, it might be the last fight again. So, but for this thing to happen, Amanda Nunes, you got Amanda Nunes right now, Kayla Harrison, you got Juliana Pena. If Juliana Pena wants to fight Nunes, which she wants, I'm sure she doesn't want to fight Kayla Harrison right now. They want to slow her down. She would have to fight Nunes in the women's featherweight division. I don't think Nunes is coming back in the bantamweight. Also, Kayla Harrison is struggling to make weight. So if you're Dana White right now, why not revive the women's featherweight division? Let Juliana Pena hold on to the bantamweight belt right now and start a merry-go-round situation with these three. You can keep Nunes around longer in the featherweight division. You got Kayla Harrison for sure is going to be around for a little bit. Juliana Pena is going to be around, and then you really got to focus on all the fighters below them and start to groom them and get them ready and get them fights and start to build that division, because there's women there that want to fight in that division, and they can't all get down to 135 pounds. You need a women's 145. But without Nunes and nothing below her really, they just scrapped the whole division. And maybe they'll bring it back. That's the word on the street. We'll see. I'm excited. The more divisions, the better. Daniel Cormier dismisses PFL and Bellator, says UFC is the only place to earn superstardom. So is that true? Is the UFC the only place to earn superstardom? You're darn right. And hopefully we can keep it that way. Again, always a comparisons with boxing. Some of you younger people out there that are listening, when I was a little younger, boxing was the deal. But it was already splintering into multiple promotions. So like you'd have 8 different UFCs, all right, maybe 4 or 5. And you didn't know who the champion was. And a lot of times the other, they wouldn't let the fighters fight each other. So you got 2 heavyweight champions or 3 or 4 or whatever. And it just ruined everything. And now nobody cares. Unless it's like Jake Paul fighting, which is irrelevant in terms of a championship. No meetings between Dana White and Conor McGregor while McGregor's in Las Vegas. And listen, as I told you before, you still got they want to get McGregor signed to a contract. He only has 2 fights left. McGregor doesn't want to sign the contract, which means he's not really trying to win a championship again, right? He's just trying to get out of Dodge, just trying to run out the contract and get out of there, and be seen again and then get back into boxing or something like that. So it's just, and I'm sure Conor McGregor wants to get out from underneath Dana White in terms of the contract, and Dana White's a businessman. He's not going to let it be that easy. And then you're hurt, so you can't fight. Now it delays it longer. It's just better for the UFC. It's just McGregor's just starting to get older, and if I'm him, I just say forget it. Let me just go for everything I can in the UFC. And if not, then he might just be thinking I'm never going to win a title again. So that's starting to set in, and now he's looking at other ventures, before he gets too old. And that's sad, because I still think McGregor could be a champion. But he'd have to get real serious real quick, and I just don't think it's going to happen.
He's gonna fight, wait, he's gonna fight, wait. Hold your breath till the end of the night. Last fight of call, UFC at its height, yeah. Bringing that thunder with all his might, saying step up, wanna fight, hold up, think twice. Gladiator, assassin, reckless, no abandon. Walk through that cage, he'll leave your ass stranded.